Thank you. Just to come back in now. So the core market project in County Wexford is a support service for individuals with a history of addictions. And a coordinator in the services has contacted me to say that the HSE are set to slash 26 frontline positions in social inclusion services at the end of this year. 12 of those positions are specific to addiction-related services, and at a time when the demand for the services is spiralling into a drugs crisis, this would be detrimental. There's a very serious potential outcome if these positions are lost, and we're facing a public health emergency in regards to the current spate of drugs in our villages and communities in County Wexford. Most recent figures show a massive increase of 23% in drugs use across the southeast between 2021 and 2023. So that anybody, it's an educated guess that that'll go up in 2024 if this is to happen. We need investment in drugs, treatments and services to reduce wider costs to the taxpayer. And this is where we join the dots. The Core Market Project believes that for every €1 spent, there is a €3 saving across the sector to the taxpayer. I'd like you to clarify if the current status on the 29 vacant positions across the southeast, because it feels like the southeast is continuously hit and being discriminated against with regards to health supports, and the HSE Substance Misuse Services Manager position has been vacant for over 18 months in County Wexford. So if you could please address that. We are in the throes, absolutely, of a drugs pandemic, drugs misuse pandemic.
Yeah. So I'm not familiar with Core Market. What I can say to you is two things. I was actually out in Ashley House run by Cool Mind the other day, where women recovering from addiction, including having their children with them during the course of their residential treatment. And I've seen the fantastic outcomes there, which will save thousands and thousands for each person into the future. My plan in respect of addiction services is certainly not to cut any spending, and I only see it going one way, and that's up. I'll have to come back to you on the specifics of what you're saying, because I don't know.
So you're not aware of 12 of the intention to cut 12 positions within the services?
I haven't authorised anyone to cut any frontline positions anywhere.
And I think I look at it, and I would say it would make no sense at all, given the fact that every rural community in this country, every rural community is facing an existential crisis with drugs. It's no longer the pastime of those that should be avoided. It is every village and community, and every young person that I am acquainted with can tell me of friends themselves been accosted, in how it's been used in different environments. Now, Mr. Gloucester, it's not your fault, but it most certainly is not a time where we can take the eye off the ball, because it ultimately leads to chronic.
No, it's not my fault, but it is my responsibility to deal with it when it comes to my attention. And what I'm saying to you is I don't know the specific project or the structure of that agency you're talking about, but what I'm saying to you is I've neither required, requested, allowed or created the conditions in which anyone in 2024 or 2025 has to cut a frontline service.
Well, I'm glad to hear it, and I hope that you will come back, and should there be any instance where we're deciding that, it should be decided by a stakeholder engagement group, which includes Gardaí, community liaison officers, politicians. It should be everybody.
That's what the Drugs Task Force system was for, so I would expect that should happen. Yes.
That should happen, well in advance of any cuts. Thank you very much.
Just on your question on the funding for the capital in Wexford, so this year was 2.2 million was allocated in the capital profile for it. I obviously haven't got the capital plan for next year yet, but on the basis the 2.2 million was done, the enabling works and the planning is going to happen. It would be hard to see how it wouldn't be in it. We're pressing ahead.
Well, I think the planning has been granted. So I think my issue with that is, if it's not, I'm fairly sure it's granted, but if it's not, it's in being, and that's what the 2.2 million would probably be going towards. But we need that capital infrastructure. Any update on the medical centre for New Ross? No. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Dr. Keaveney or Dr. Henry, if you were putting your hand up to me there.
Yes, sorry, it was in relation to your question, the first line deputy. The model of care for eating disorders is largely community-based. Our plan is for 16 teams across the country. It is true that your area is one not covered, and we're hopeful. We have 11 in place teams of the 16. Remember, 8 are for adults and 8 for CAMS. We have 11 in place, 1 recruiting, and we're hopeful for 2 more in this coming financial year, which will include coverage of Wexford and Waterford.
Right, Deputy, or Chair, not to take advantage or anything, but I just, a little latitude, yeah. The reality of what's happening in our mental health services across the board, I don't know what kind of key performance indicators you're using, but I can tell you of an adult who's been separated from her children for a period of a couple of weeks, self-inflicted by her mother. She took her in because she's not coping mentally. She visited a local mental health services where the doctor told her to go home and he'd cop herself on. Now, they're probably not the words, but to that effect, but that he'd see her in 3 months. 3 months, when she'd been away from her children for 2 weeks, small children now, only for her mother was with her and intervened, to which then he conceded he would see her in a month.
Okay.
Where are we going? And what kind of monitoring are we doing? Because, and another doctor told a woman he didn't believe in menopause and took her off her medication. Now, like, I could be here forever, and that is not something, and I can tell you, I'm proof menopause exists if anybody wants to jibe at me, no problem at all, but I can tell you it's not something a doctor should use as a throwaway remark.
We need to, so we need...
Take the spirit of what you're saying, Deputy.
Thank you.
Okay, so I just want to say, it could be, if you could clarify just where on the HSE website the internal audit reports are, and then we're going to close the meeting, so can that just be quickly clarified?
Go back to that. It's I think let's go back and tell you exactly where it is. There'll be a link. There'll be a link to.
But just to say, Deputy, whatever about the website, proactively every quarter.
No, I know, but website is important.
We release all the reports to the journalists under the, the blanket FOI provision. They get regularly published, but
there's
we'll
more
check
than just the journalists.
No,
okay.
I take the point.
Okay.